It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Hey, I'm here with Paul Berndt. He's the CEO of NetV Pro. Paul, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you doing, Ray?
I'm doing great. You know, Paul, we just about through this thing. We're starting to see some people go back into the workplace. And how did your business fare over the last couple of months? And, you know, have you had anything that slapped you up in the face and said, wow, we can do this better? Or any new, ideas or suggestions that your customers are bringing you now that we've all kind of lived through this crisis?
We fared really well. We're very diversified, like you said, with our backup disaster recovery business and our managed service customers are very diversified. We did have one of our manufacturing customers that are tied to the auto industry reduce, so we reduced their invoicing for last couple of months to in order to make sure they make it through this. But all in all, we're doing really good.
Do you feel pretty safe with your customers that you have today? I mean, are they telling you, hey, we don't think we're going to make it, or is everybody kind of thinking they're going to get through this?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we got a couple. I mean, I just drafted a letter to do collections on a medical company because all the medical processing is the bank, they're holding their money back, so then the service company is holding their money back, and I'm like, well, I gotta get paid, So
well, it's and interesting because I think a lot of people in the sector of the print sector, for instance, they sell a copy machine or a printer, they collect the revenue for service or supplies. But in the IT space, where you're a managed service provider, you have a lot of cost that you have to pass through to those customers. I mean, you're paying for all these services yourself as the MSP, and then of course you manage that for your customer. But they got to pay, and obviously that's a stressful time now because you don't really want to cut off people's services, but at the same time, if you have to pay, they kind of have to pay you. So those are tough conversations, and I'm sure that's not a pleasant experience going through these times today. But it's only been a small percentage of customers that are in that boat with you?
Yeah, about 3%, so it's really not overall affecting our business.
Well, hopefully we can get through this and come out on the other side. You mentioned project work got put on hold. Is that, you think that's pretty standard around the country for the managed service providers? Not a whole lot of people doing projects?
Yeah, I think it's overall, everybody's holding on to their cash, trying to weather the storm. I've been doing IT for 30 years, so I can name off, years, 2000, 2008. I mean, there's many of years where everybody was like, okay, we're just going to hold on what we have.
Do you have anybody asking you, hey, Paul, you know what? We really got to get this. I want this crap out of from on-site and get it off-site. I want to really get more cloud going on. I mean, have those conversations picked up with you?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we have more and more customers saying it's time to move this stuff out of our office and into the cloud and into application as a service. Even better, Microsoft came out with 6 months for Microsoft 365 for free if you're a new tenant. So we're pushing that hard and bringing on more and more 365 customers.
Awesome. Is there anything that's going to change for your business from this COVID that you got to really make some adjustments going forward? Or are you going to try to just kind of weather the storm, come back out the other side and keep going the way you were?
No, I mean, our marketing has completely flipped. I mean, we're very relationship based, and there's no better way to create a relationship than face to face. But now all our marketing is all online with Zoom. Hey, I'm on with Ray with Zoom. We have revamped and doing lunch and learns and trying to figure out, that outreach to get people to trust us and know that we're here entity to be worked with.
Interesting. Have you done any surveys with your customer? I've asked my friends in the print channel to go out and ask their customers some questions, sometimes tough questions, but, have you been able to do any of those over the last couple of months? Or
I don't like doing surveys, but on the most part, I'm pretty in touch with, like I asked one of my biggest customers there, I'm like, how are you doing invoicing now that you guys work from home? And he's like, head of IT, and he's like, I don't know. I said, well, I helped you put in those copiers. What are you doing with those? And he's like, well, we're just doing all electronic now. So yeah, I mean, definitely when it's time to replace those, we're gonna put in smaller units. And less of them.
Yeah. Well, I noticed you made a comment. When I did a video last week where I talked about the percentages of print cost against a whole IT spend, and it's between that 1% and 2%. You seemed a little bit surprised that it was only at 1%. So I'm curious. I think you need to go out to your customers that you have and see where that falls in line. That could be interesting for you.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. It's a good suggestion, Ray. Thank you.
I think that's kind of interesting because if you think about it, you're paying for backup, ISP, all these other things that you have to do from your technology perspective. Hell, even most companies' ERP systems, they spend more per month than they do on their print and copy. So, well, Paul, it's always good talking to you. We're almost through this thing, and it'll be interesting to see how the world transitions. Have you had a lot of your customers decide that they are going to move to a work from home? I mean, are you having any of those conversations yet?
Yeah, no, we're having a lot of those conversations. Work from home is here to stay for a lot of companies, and reducing their office space is also one. Well, not really reducing their office space, just having their people that do go to the office spread out even more.
Yeah, well, that'll be interesting to see how all that plays out, and what are all the components to doing that and helping a customer through that. Well, Paul, I'm going to end this the way that I always do. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and have a fantastic day, my friends. I'll see you tomorrow.